very manic the last couple of months, you know. I mean, she's obviously working on her As Ever food store and all that, and she's just released a Chateau Meghan rosé wine and so on and so forth. But she's, you know, these blizzard of posts on Instagram, you know, more and more sort of semi-pictures of bits of her kid. You know, they have this obsession. You can't see their face, but they'll show you just a little bit in the red hair. And you know, doing more and more appearances on podcasts. Just as I say, a blizzard of activity. And the backdrop to this is her business, As Ever, which is selling food, or seems to run out of food mostly. And I'm just wondering whether this kind of manic behaviour is somehow or other covering up for a certain failure on the business front.
Yes, it does seem to be that the narcissistic personality disorder, and I'm not saying that she does have that, but if she did, it's fundamentally a disorder of compensation, and it's fundamentally a disorder of a deep-seated sense of unworthiness. And so all of the grandiosity and all of the effort and all of the showcasing of her abilities would be there to cover up that sense of unworthiness. If she's experienced narcissistic injury recently, she would feel driven to do more to compensate for that feeling of inadequacy and narcissistic depletion. So that could be one explanation for what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, not fair to diagnose her from, 5,000-6,000 miles away, and she's not on your couch or anything like that. But she does seem, you know, to my amateur eyes, to rather love herself.
Well, everything is cast into this very grandiose and delusional light. So, okay, so we're gonna be fair, and we're gonna say we can't say she has a personality disorder. She doesn't have NPD, but we can say her behaviour narcissistic.
Welcome back, my darlings, to Meghan and Harry Tales, where the royal haters get clocked and the Sussex truth gets served, hot, piping and seasoned with facts. Now listen, something ridiculous just happened on TalkTV again. Surprise, surprise. This time it's Kevin O'Sullivan, the UK's unofficial king of cringy clickbait, bringing on self-proclaimed narcissist expert Richard Grannon to dissect Meghan Markle's personality like two old blokes stuck in a pub conspiracy circle. Apparently Meghan's manic behaviour is the latest obsession. And no, not the manic spending at Buckingham Palace. We're talking about a woman who dares to smile, work and be fabulous while being black, American and successful. The horror! I recently watched a TalkTV broadcast featuring Kevin O'Sullivan and Richard Grannon, both fixated on Meghan Markle. Their discussion was urgent, their tone dismissive, and their conclusions absolute. O'Sullivan painted Meghan's ambition as a flaw, her confidence as arrogance, and her desire for privacy as hypocrisy. Every action she takes is framed as self-serving. Grannon, the so-called narcissism expert, diagnosed her from afar, labelling her manipulative and narcissistic. But can anyone truly understand a person through media soundbites? The show felt less like journalism and more like a performance, with Meghan cast as the villain. The goal wasn't to explore complexity, but to reinforce a negative caricature. The more controversy they create, the more attention they get. It's a self-sustaining cycle of outrage. Here's the irony. The critics who accuse Meghan of narcissism display those very traits themselves. Narcissism is about craving attention and lacking empathy. These commentators thrive on being seen and heard, convinced their opinions are essential. Their careers depend on provocation and keeping the spotlight on themselves. Judging others from afar puts them in a position of superiority, a classic case of projection. When they call Meghan a narcissist, they're often describing their own behaviour. They crave the spotlight and assume she does too, but for sinister reasons. The entire spectacle is built on the idea that their voice matters most. The irony is hard to miss. Let's compare actions, not just words or opinions. Meghan Markle, through the Archwell Foundation, supports disaster relief, vaccine equity, mental health, and empowers young girls to become future leaders. She's spoken at the UN, sharing her message on a global stage, and written a children's book for charity. These are tangible contributions, building, supporting and creating positive change. The TalkTV commentators, on the other hand, produce hours of criticism and outrage, fueling endless debates. Their main output is negativity, not solutions or hope. Not community centres or charitable initiatives that help people. They don't build, they dismantle piece by piece. One ambition leads to real-world impact and lasting benefits. The other to ratings and clicks, chasing controversy. You can use your influence to plant a garden, nurture growth, or to shout at the gardener, tearing down their efforts. The results for society are vastly different, and the choice is clear. There's a noticeable discomfort that arises when a confident woman, especially a woman of colour, steps boldly into the spotlight. Her presence challenges unspoken rules about who gets to be self-assured and unapologetic in public spaces. Take Meghan Markle, for example. She's often labelled as difficult or arrogant for displaying traits that are not only accepted, but even celebrated in men. Traits like assertiveness, ambition and self-possession. Long before marrying into royalty, Meghan was already successful and fiercely independent. Her self-assurance didn't disappear when she entered the royal family. If anything, it became more visible and more scrutinised. Yet the media often reframes her confidence as narcissism and her ambition as social climbing, twisting positive qualities into negative narratives. Would a man in her position face the same criticism? More often than not, he'd be praised as a strong leader, admired for his drive and vision. History is filled with examples of women who were punished for being bold or outspoken. The labels used against them may change over time, but the underlying sentiment of resistance remains stubbornly persistent. Even today, society struggles with women who refuse to conform to outdated expectations of meekness or silence, especially when they dare to stand out or speak up. The TalkTV narrative taps into these old prejudices, painting Meghan as a disruptive force, rather than acknowledging her as a woman challenging the status quo. It's far easier for critics to cast her as a villain than to confront the deeper discomfort society feels about confident women who won't shrink themselves. Ultimately, the real issue isn't Meghan's confidence. It's the way society reacts to women who dare to own their power and refuse to apologise for it. In nature, animals use camouflage. In humans, we use projection, attributing our flaws to others. The media's obsession with Meghan's supposed hunger for fame often mirrors their own. Commentators who live for ratings accuse her of chasing relevance. They call her manipulative, yet their industry thrives on shaping narratives and sensationalism. The critics at TalkTV are experts at crafting stories to paint Meghan negatively. Their accusations often reflect their own tactics. By projecting their motives onto her, they cast themselves as righteous truth-tellers. The attacks feel personal because they're describing themselves. Meghan becomes a mirror for the media's own flaws. It's a psychological performance, shouting, "Look at her," so no one looks at them. So, what do we learn from all this? What lessons can we take away from the noise, the headlines, and the heated debates that seem to fill our screens every day? The story told by Meghan's critics is a fiction, carefully crafted for ratings, for clicks, and to reinforce old prejudices. It's a narrative that thrives on controversy, not on truth. But if we look past the noise and the drama, we see something different. We see resilience and ambition, a woman determined to forge her own path despite relentless scrutiny and criticism. As media consumers, we have a powerful choice to make every day. We can feed the outrage machine, giving energy to negativity, or we can support positivity, fairness and truth in the stories we choose to engage with. Clicking on hate, sharing negativity, or amplifying cruel voices only encourages more of it. Our attention is a vote for the kind of content we want to see. Instead, we can choose to celebrate ambition, especially in women, and seek out stories of progress, hope, and achievement. We can uplift those who strive for better. Let's turn away from those who tear others down and focus on those who build up, inspire, and create positive change in their communities. This isn't about blind defense of anyone, but about demanding a better, more honest public discourse, one that values truth over sensationalism. So here's the bottom line. Meghan Markle is not the narcissist in this story, she's the mirror. And what Kevin, Richard and the entire TalkTV peanut gallery see when they look at her is everything they hate about themselves: confident, independent, unapologetically successful. And that, my darlings, is why they can't stop talking about her. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Let the haters rage while we keep shining, because the Sussexes aren't the problem, they're the revolution.